It is often said the business is not for sissies, with good reason, because the rough and tumble of cash flows, systems, markets, products, etc. does lead to problems, as Bloomberg revealed in their report that 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs who start businesses fail within the first 18 months. But for those that succeed, the rewards can be great, as evidenced by entrepreneurs such as Sango Ntsaluba. With over 30 years of experience in the auditing profession, co-founder of SizweNtsalubaGobodo, and now executive chairman of NMT Capital, Sango Ntsaluba has introduced initiatives to partner with small businesses in an effort to help every entrepreneur with what they struggle the most with. That's access, the leveraging of networks, as well as funding. Sango Ntsaluba joins us on the show to discuss his latest initiative, as well as to share with us his professional road to where he is. Ntsaluba, a pleasure to be with you, my brother.
Same here, same
much,
here.
much
Thank you very
appreciated.
much. Thank you.
Well, before we started the interview, I said, I look up to people like you, right? And you don't accept my compliment. So let me give you the compliment in public. You see, when people can stay in the game and be the top of their profession in accounting and auditing and form companies that are now no longer SMMEs, but established companies, highly respected, then we've got to take our hats off to you see.
Well, I guess, Tim, first, thank you very much for your time. I think, like many other South Africans, we're trying, but within certain background does help. A little bit of education does help in a particular field. But I think I'm just one of the many South Africans who have also managed to make some progress, and that's what we would like to share with fellow South Africans.
Well, there's a report which I know you're familiar with. I'll use that as an entry point to our discussion, which suggests that 79% of grown-up South Africans who are employed understand and appreciate that starting your own business is a great idea. But I suppose, given the statistic I mentioned, that 80% are likely of people who start businesses are likely to fail. People know that to have your own business is a great idea, but only 9% make the attempt to, right? So it's not easy, but in your case as a professional, you started your own business anyway. So what is it that gave you the confidence that, notwithstanding your skills and the fact that you could make money as a professional working for somebody else, that you should take the leap and start your own business?
You know, Tim, I would never advise anybody to start the business the way I did, because mine was started out of anger, out of frustration, I was in the corporate world, in the profession, and I realized I was getting nowhere. Remember, that was way before 1994. And I said to myself, but I'm a qualified chartered accountant. Why do I have to keep on begging people for promotion, which I think will never come? I can do what they're doing. I have the same qualification. I then went up to set up the business. But I can tell you now, it looked easier from outside than when we started. I had to ask myself almost every time, was it really a good decision? So I think then immediately there were certain lessons. Don't get into business without a plan. Don't get into business without determination. And don't get into business thinking that, don't let people tell you, oh no, within 3 months, 4 months, you're going to be breaking even. You need to go back to the basics and ask yourself realistic questions about how am I going to survive for the next period without any income which is being generated. And all those type of questions become very, very important. And the more you are being realistic to yourself, the more the chances of success are there. And the statistics is correct what you say. And sadly, we see a lot of people who take their pension money or when they leave work, sink it in business without really, really thinking, what happens if this capital dries up? Where do I go from there?
But now, in your case, obviously, as a professional, you had let's call it a head start. Yes. At least you could fall back on that.
Yes.
But most entrepreneurs are not necessarily professional people, right? So from your experience over time, What have you observed to be the key attributes, the key qualities that help in somebody becoming successful?
The first one, pick your passion. Don't do what other people are doing because it looks good when you look at them. Pick your passion because that's what's going to drive you when the times are hard. Two, you need to make sure you dedicate yourself to the passion. Whatever you have chosen, you need to make sure you are true to it. Third point, you know, it's over the years, I've looked at people who say, well, I've done my business plan, business plan is very important. You cannot and do not and you should not enter business without one. But part of the business plan, you do cash flow projections, which is where the trick comes in. Somebody then does the first draft is always your most realistic. You look at this and you say, but I'm not going to make money. So what do? You go and tweak the figures so that the figures can tell you that you will make money. Then you start believing them. And then you move on. So just prepare a realistic business plan, which is going to tell you honestly whether the chosen space is going to take you to the destination. And we will probably talk about why then we have decided as WZ Capital to assist entrepreneurs, because then there's a lacking part. Passion and all, dedication and all. If you do not have relationships increasingly are becoming a significant part of the success of any business. And you need to establish how are you going to get some of those relationships. And that's the space now we play in. Finance is also. But I still say, to a certain extent, finance is scarce, and in South Africa we should be doing more to support entrepreneurs. But I think also the ideas coming through are not necessarily always financeable. And that is where we need to spend a little bit of time of how do we make entrepreneurs to dig very deep and come up with something that is very unique, fundable, sustainable, scalable, and all those type of things.
Now, you can refer to yourself and your own personal experiences as you respond to some of the questions, because there are so many lessons we can draw from each other. When you started your own business, it was much harder than it is now, at least from a political and regulatory point of view. Now, today, the talk is about empowerment, it's about transformation, yet a lot of people are battling to succeed in business. And of course, the nation has got greater needs to create employment as well as to get more people to work for themselves if we are going to improve in terms of inequality and any other need that we have as a people to advance. So looking at the South African situation and the number of people who are applying for capital and support, what do you see as a weakness in our society?
Firstly, the first weakness, let's go back. I wish our education system was pushing entrepreneurship quite a lot at very early stages and giving people some basic ingredients of what it means to be an entrepreneur. So that's one of the things that is lacking. Secondly, I think the government, if we talk about government, has tried and really attempted to set up structures which would assist new entrepreneurs. I don't necessarily want to call them SMMEs or whatever, but new entrants to the market. But it's difficult to access them, and I don't think the filtering systems there are not very good. Let's talk about what we've tried to do in WZ Capital to make sure you don't waste people's time, because institutions can waste people's time. So what we have done at WZ Capital, if you want to be associated with us, to partner with us, go to our website. There are 4 questions you must answer there. Simple. And none of those questions must be more than 10 lines. Because if you cannot explain in 4 paragraphs what you want to do, then you can't explain it even if you are asked 200 pages. Out of that, we can immediately tell you, no, thank you very much. We will not be able to partner with you. That's a lesson that has come from us being involved in trying to raise money, because people entertain you, you fill in forms, you do thick documents and all of that type of thing. And only after 4 months they tell you, sorry, we can't.
Yes,
You see.
yes, yeah.
So we've tried to cut out that. And once you are out of that stage, we then say, well, what's your short business plan? We look at the business plan, we say, we can move. So what we need is the institutions that exist, they must streamline their processes, make it easier, not waste people's time. But there's another issue, which is my biggest journey I'm also in now, is the private sector must come to the party. Honestly, in this country, in our country, South Africa, the private sector is playing a spectator role in terms of assisting entrepreneurs. And I can talk a little bit about the professional side, because whether it's accounting, legal, engineers, and all of that, I think all of us who have got the opportunity to sit in the boards, we need to continuously advocate for the use and inclusion of other professionals, rather than the ones which have been used for the past 20, 30, 60, 90 years. And if we create that space, then other people who are good at what they do, without the market team, what else are you going to do? Until some people start to open the market up. And that is one of the things, my call to everybody is to say, we need to be vigilant in
All right,
so.
let me not be selfish and hog the limelight talking to you, and we can talk forever. What do people need to do to access yourselves and the assistance that you provide?
At WZ Capital, there are many ways, but let's talk about two. Of course, it's you visit our website, www.wzcapital.co.za, and you will get the information, you'll get the questions there. We also on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, you put all your suggestions, there's a team which will pick up whatever you want to do, then we'll get on with it. And I'm excited, I'm really, really excited. Just to give an idea, in June, when we really started to have a push, we got about 232 inquiries. But you had the statistics already, that a number of people who would like to, unfortunately, don't make it.
Yeah.
But what we do to people where we say we're not going to be able to work with you, we try to say we're not going to be able to work with you, but here is a list of other institutions who do support entrepreneurs. Maybe try them, so that you don't just say,
give up and
go.
Yeah.
And we're very careful about that, because we do know a number of people we don't team up with will be successful.
Yes.
We're not the determiners of people's fate, whether they will or they can't.
Yeah.
So that's the journey we're in. We're working with entrepreneurs, but type of entrepreneurs we're looking for. Please don't talk to us about something which is everybody else is doing. It must be cutting edge, it must be fresh, it must be a bit disruptive or improving whatever is being done, and it must be scalable. Because there's no point if your clientele is only going to be 500 people, and we think there's a market which is far bigger than that.
We appreciate, and I hope that we'll have you again on the show as we continue with you on your journey to get more people to get assistance. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate the time.
Much appreciated. Well, he speaks from experience, Mr. Sango Ntsaluba. He's been in the game for more than 30 years. And what he says, regard it as gospel, and get in touch with them at WZ Capital. Go to their website.